here.
Yeah.
You gotta be on this just like the rest
You
of
gotta
us.
stand behind
Well,
Mike's.
unfortunately, my voice, most people recognize it.
Not everybody does.
I'm an anonymous citizen.
Right?
That sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
because I've had several texts. Well, what's it? It's
I don't know,
Hey, there's
sir.
a meeting
Yeah.
Typically mad
yesterday at
husband.
2:00.
He came in here yesterday too.
Jay, the mad
And I
husband.
come back here and he's sitting, I go,
No,
Jay,
no.
what are you doing? He goes, in the meeting at 2. I said, oh crap, I forgot to tell you.
That's a-
Sorry. I'm not, audio because we have that audio and like, I need to listen to it, I can just pull that. You need that.
Yeah, I figured. You gotta have some neighbors another week. Golly,
I will have some neighbors.
yeah.
Bill and Patty coming back home.
Yeah.
Why aren't you smiling?
It's just more work for Jay.
I talk to your vegetation man.
They gotta be about time to make that
What
trip.
time is your phone saying?
It may be about their
No.
my dog right now. Wishing Jay was done.
Call this meeting order, please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Oh, this meeting today is about IMPA and their maintenance contract with ISC, so.
And by the way, thank the board. I didn't get the 48-hour notice for the yesterday's meeting, so thank you guys for being flexible for this one. Legally, I've had a chance to look it over, and there's no tricks or traps or anything other than the notion that it's not trick, just notion that maintenance, if the cost of materials is going to be $5,000, it's not covered by the generic maintenance cost of materials.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see a scenario where how many poles could that be? One pole's under 5,000, but 10 would not be maintenance. That's a capital improvement.
Yeah, we
So
have to pay into a material fund.
Right.
And that would make-
then it
But
would,
didn't he tell
Comes out
us
of that.
if we contracted into this, we would get a break on those materials when it got to a pay for situation?
Yeah.
Because
you'd be
they-
buying more
we were
wholesale
in
price than you
Yeah,
would be.
Exactly.
We won't be paying retail.
Yeah, I want to maybe clear up something I saw on Facebook.
No.
Yes, which I hate Facebook anyway, but here and there. They said thought it was a conflict of interest of me to be on the IMPA Board of Governors and also to vote here.
I even
Well, it
missed
still
that
has to be
now.
majority, so.
I have no problem with it.
And every
It's
community.
required.
I would rather
Yeah,
have it in.
It's the opposite of a
Yeah.
conflict.
I was gonna say, I would rather have a board member into that. Mike's got a relationship with him.
To be on the other board, you have to be
Yeah.
a
Exactly.
member of. So it's the opposite of a conflict. One of you three is
It's
the only
gonna
people,
happen.
That's
are
right.
you're the three only people on earth who could serve as the
Every
input
community
commissioner.
appoints someone to serve on the Board of Governors. And it's not a paid position, and I spend one day every month over there in Carmel, so there is no conflict of interest, so.
Right.
Just to clear that up.
The other note, as we kind of ponder this, is the requirement that a couple things. One, the guys from IMPA kind of explained. So it's a 5-year contract, automatically renewing for 5 years unless canceled a year in advance. And then we'll have to adopt this interconnection ordinance. I assume IMPA's got a model for it that we will just use. If they don't, we'll just, there's a standard ordinance. So we'd have to do that also, but that's no big deal. But it's just a case of the cost of it and
Exactly.
can the electric utility's current cash flow support, what was it, 100 and, I'm sure you've done the math on that. I mean, how many meters is there? Are there?
Hundred
Hundred and eighty?
Hey, Marty.
I don't remember offhand.
Anyway, just,
It was about 119, 115 a year.
yeah, $170 per meter per year. And then the materials fund $30 per meter per year. How much, what was the estimate you just said?
655 meters,
Okay,
It's up there.
which is $19,650 a year. That's the materials
for the
fund.
materials, and then whatever,
And then for the service core, it's 175 per meter at 655 meters, which is 114,625.
And the materials fund, what's he say? It's always our money. And if there's a surplus, we get it back, so.
yeah, in government fund account, it'd be a non-reverting fund that just sort of stays there.
Exactly.
But I don't know what 19,000 may not buy as much. I mean, what's that? 2 transformers or something? I don't know.
No, it'd be up to you.
But anyway,
Donnie, Dwayne, need some comments from you guys.
So we did a little bit of digging for you guys, and it's ultimately up to you guys, but we just kind of gave you guys different options. But we called Burns, which we used to get. They used to do all of our power. We're waiting for a call back from them. Then we called Crawfordsville Electric Light and Power. We talked to them today. They're going to come down next week. They basically said that they're 97% sure that they could to help us out and do everything. They said it would be covering. It's not a contract, and they said that we have to understand that Crawfordsville's the priority. So if there's a storm, he said they wouldn't leave us high and dry, but they would have to send down like a ghost crew or 2 people, finish their stuff, come and help us. But they said that'd be emergencies, pole replacements, preventative maintenance. They did say there's no contract. They'd be charging us for time, labor, parts, and then we could set up a thing where they would come monthly or quarterly and kind of walk around and say, hey, this, and this is going to need replaced. Bring it to the board. You guys get an okay, and we're going to schedule it. And it's almost the same thing IMPA's offering, but there's no contract. And they said we could use them as little as we want or as much as we want, as long as they're not doing something. They said they're right up the road. He said they're more than willing to come in here. He has to talk to the head people there, but they're sending the lineman, and then the utilities or the line superintendent, who I talked to, Gary. He's going to come down here next week. And then we called Townsend, and what's that other name?
Asphalt.
Oh,
The
okay, yeah.
tree trimming. And then we called Mint City. In Mint City, they're trimming for Crawfordsville now. They trim for Waynetown, and they trim for IMPA too.
Right.
So they're the ones that gave us the quote. They told me that on yours, Mike, where I wrote fall, that's what the estimate was for last fall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He said that they almost could honor that. They could do it either all at one chunk and trim out the whole town. That's with them trimming it out and hauling it down to the sewer plant. And that's everything from 625, which is clear up to past the sewer plant, to Harold Roy's, clear up on the hill.
It's the whole town.
And they could do it either the whole thing or 50% this year, 50% next year. And then after that, they wanted to do a scheduled preventative maintenance where they come in and
So outside of town limits too. So Ladoga.
Whoever has our line.
No,
Whoever has our power.
whoever has our power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. And then the Crawfordsville Electric Light and Power, they said that they have this same sort of understanding with Waynetown right now.
Oh.
So they do the exact same thing that I talked to them about with over there. So.
So no contract means
Yeah.
if we spend a bunch of money, they're like, well, we're not gonna spend any more money, we can just not do it because we don't have a contract, so.
and so CLP would be time and materials and maybe a markup, but if they want that.
And we used to,
He said that, he,
With,
Carversville, when I
Yeah.
first started
Yeah.
working, when I first started working here, it was like we called them when there was a storm. and
Yeah.
Stuff that was bigger than we could handle, because they got linemen.
That's
They
unusual.
would come down and work on it, because the linemen come down, when I did work on something, he told me I should never be in a bucket truck.
he said it had been, once or twice in the last 12 years. 'Cause the guy, Gary, used to be Wayne Town's superintendent.
Man,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the manager, and then he came to
Right.
Crawfordsville. So I think that's part of the relationship with
Yeah.
why they're doing that. But I thought the same thing, they're in a community and they're using Crawfordsville,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys, but at least you have a couple different options. I know that 98,000 is kind of a lot, but, I almost think if that's the same company that IMPA's gonna be using.
So they just marked it up, is all they did.
I
Because
don't,
they
yeah.
were at 150.
Well, IMPAs would be included in the normal
Yeah,
annual charge. That's part of their services
yeah.
they do. So there would be no additional charge for,
But that 150 would be taken out
out of what?
part of the material funds for that,
Well, only if they use some materials, but I don't.
right?
You guys still waiting on the Burns quote, or?
Yeah, he actually called back when I was on the phone with him and this has all been, towards the end of the day, so.
The only thing, I'm not saying anything bad against Joe and them, the only thing is they're 2.5 hours away.
Birds,
I mean, they're clear on the other side of the state.
barbers.
They're right there.
And, Crawfordsville said they would be open to,
Well, yeah, but like,
if we didn't even want to throw in fuses in the night, which we would do that, but I mean, I thought it was, if they're open to even coming and doing something as small as that. And the charges, I didn't read that. So if they come during the day, it's straight time. After hours, it's time and a half. And if they come weekends or holidays, it's double time.
Right.
Which I'm sure everyone else is gonna do the same thing. But if we had, they said some years we could spend what we would spend in a normal, or we could say, hey, we need to save some for something else. We're gonna only spend 40 this year or something. So.
Without the contract, you have that.
Yeah, that
Option.
option,
Yeah.
not, yeah.
And we could even still do, we could use both of them. I mean, IMPA's in town today doing stuff for us, so we could have, like Donnie's saying, we could have 10, 20 poles that need replaced and call them and say, hey, you guys get these 10 done before the end of the year, and tell Crawford to do the same thing.
if they somehow work it out, I don't know, but.
So the deal now with IMPA is also the same sort of thing, time and materials and depending on the time of day and all that markup, but that's yeah.
But they also told me last week,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
they told me last week that, that could eventually die off. Because they said that they're getting all these towns that eventually, if they don't have the time, we're kind of put on the back burner unless we go with the contract.
Right.
So,
Because they're kind of competing with themselves
yeah, correct.
for the on-call versus the contract.
The two guys that were in here today, I'd never met before. That moved the poles down across the railroad track, moved the lines. And they said they got pulled from
East side.
east side of Indy to this branch to help with this, because the other guys are gone. So,
I mean, we're still gonna use them either way. I mean, if you guys look at the contract, it'd just be primarily them, but if we did this, at least we would have Ladoga, Crawfordsville, and IMPA kind of.
we always figured we'd call Cartersville in a super emergency. That was always what
Yeah,
was
I
put
think
to us.
Mutual
If it's a
aid, that
big,
would-
Yeah.
mutual aid, it was big like that, but I never thought of just calling them and saying, hey, you guys just won't come down here and start
Right.
help me.
And I did call,
with this stuff."
Park County RNC last week, and they kind of said that they're shorthanded, so they said they would be open to it, but they would have to build up their crew before they'd be open to coming up here.
Johnny, not to put you on the spot or anything,
Mhm.
but you have, what's your plans?
You're
I
going
mean,
where I was going. Talk to us. Cause we got
Oh.
in this conversation
Yeah.
thinking you were
Yeah.
gonna retire.
Yeah, well,
He's looking at the clock.
if I
That's
could
not a good
retire at
sign.
4 o'clock, I would. No,
What's your long-term goal?
I'll work till the end of the year for sure, but
After that, we don't know.
My wife and I are.
But are you gonna try to do part-time or do you plan?
Yeah,
on-
I mean,
Okay.
I would still like to do, like I said, I could work up, I'd work 30 hours.
Right.
Whatever, but other than that, if not, I'll work somewhere else for a little bit and
No
do
more
this
on
and that.
No more on call, middle of the night. if you-
Well, I mean,
And
if
off.
I had to, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
no
It's like,
problem.
no, he's still getting that call.
Yeah, but,
Triple time, but you
I
know.
mean,
So he's still gonna be here.
He'll
He's
still be
just
around.
not,
Yeah.
10 hours less, 20 hours less, what you work out time.
yeah.
But I guess one of the concepts is what, if you don't have a salaried payroll person,
Yeah.
that makes this contract a little more
Mhm.
cash flow wise, a little better,
Exactly.
but you're still locked in for 5 years at
That's right.
130-something thousand a year.
Donnie gonna stay at 5
Oh,
years,
that's
it doesn't
right.
sound like it.
Are you gonna hire somebody?
I wanna work on 65. I mean,
There you go.
Okay,
4 years.
I mean, yeah, I'll be 62 this year,
Right.
but I'd like to work, okay, let's say, I always keep saying 30 hours is the state requirement.
What if he,
Makes looking for a full-time person, okay? Give me 30 hours, I'll be here till I'm 65. Not, I'll do whatever I want.
what did he tell us about if we didn't sign up this time,
You long.
we could,
Yeah, who's the
we
next
could do it
board?
next year or?
See, but it's been around, this program's been around a while,
We can-
right?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
we
have
can do it
seen.
anytime we want,
Okay.
if you want.
And
That would be,
I also looked at that, just throwing the numbers out there. If I was to only work 30 hours, it'd be over a $20,000 a year savings. So there could be electric work done easily with that. If Farmers or whoever, or IMPA or whoever, that's a pretty easy.
And in the future, we definitely can't afford a
Lineman.
full-time certified lineman. I mean,
Cause we did the math on the
175,000.
training one, didn't we?
Well, I'm here in 5, 6, 7 days, in 7 days, I have to renew my water license again, okay? So, it's not just, I'd hate to say it, but linemen do electric.
Yeah.
Okay?
I
I will do,
Jamestown
I do most electric, not most electric,
Do
but
it all.
a lot of electric, I sign for water, I sign for wastewater, streets, whatever, linemen are gonna come in here and do electric.
That's right.
And that's great, okay, because they're way more qualified than I am.
But they're not gonna do anything else.
But, yeah, they're not gonna do anything else, but we don't have the outages or this stuff, knock on wood somewhere,
We hope we do.
that has, I don't wanna say plague, but it could really mess with the town if we're not prepared for it. That's one of the things that, the tree trimming and the poles is what I'm more worried about than anything in the future.
Yeah.
The wire has been replaced, Roger, and the burns, that stuff's been replaced, it's in pretty damn good shape. Okay, our poles, tree trimming, this stuff needs to be done.
Yeah.
And we have the money for that.
Yeah. And,
We have
but
the
we
money to
don't,
do the
we
tree
do not
trimming.
have the equipment to do it.
Yeah,
Or a pole at the park, we can do that.
Right.
A pole at the park that's got wires going this way and wires going this way and, no, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah.
you
we
know,
don't
the
like
tree
to-
trimming isn't something we're gonna, not major 98,000 or whatever every year. That's just,
True.
That's to do
That-
it one
do you know
time,
an
get everything
average
under
what we
Well,
control.
Yeah.
they've already came and looked at it
They-
last year, so they
Yeah.
noticed how bad it was, and they said that after that, it's gonna drop off.
Right.
Right.
and these
It'll
people are
be
gonna do it
routine
to
trimming.
spec. What was it you said about that, Dwayne?
So that it's regardless who we go with, it's Mint City because INFA uses it, Crawfordsville, everyone's gonna use it, but it's they go to the specs as far as you need to be so far above like it's not gonna be like the local guy coming in and trimming around it. It's gonna be actually
It's gonna be tree trim.
What the state requires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what linemen and
Yeah.
what they would require to keep
And-
away from the high voltage.
And
lines.
once they get that done, they may uncover problems that we don't even know are there yet, right now.
and they do all the hauling away and everything, so it's not us pulling a dump truck up there and
Yeah.
trying to throw it in there. They're chipping it and hauling it away too, so.
They have their crews, that's all they do.
Right.
It's just,
Okay, so we've got the money in the budget for the tree trimming.
So you could limp along using CLP on a contract basis
Yeah.
and contracting
On a no contract basis.
on a no contract,
Yeah.
time and materials, and
If they
then,
get to us, they can get to us.
and then just contract with the tree trimming guys, just as a one, either over 1 year or 2 years.
And then maybe when Donnie retires, then when he retires completely, then you can think about, maybe we need to get some other, go with, you know,
Right, because you guys are capable of like going around and like testing, like seeing which poles absolutely need, like, you can't do that? Okay.
We can look, but
We
they,
can
they
look
actually
at-
do a test where
Do
they're,
they?
yeah, they're gonna like core it and check it and
Okay.
stuff like that, and that's,
Yeah, just the pole here a couple of years ago that looked perfectly fine on the outside. I could have walked up to that thing, hit on it with a hammer and stuff and never thought anything of it. The guy went over and started his drill Trisha, he went like this, then all at once it went, whoa, then it stopped, then it went through. And I'm like, when he took that pole down, the whole inside of it was nothing but poof wood. There was
Yeah.
nothing left. The only thing that was holding it up was the lines going crossway.
Can you, one of you guys, whoever you're talking to over there, can you see what, like, a time frame would be for them to come out and kind of check the poles and what it would cost to do that?
I'll say that,
Uh,
Gary,
yeah, they're coming next week to meet
Oh,
with
that's
us.
who's coming next week, okay.
yeah.
But as far as checking is like tapping them and stuff, I think that's hired out through a company called like Osmos
Yeah,
that comes in, and I don't know if that's, I don't know if that's something we'd hire out and have them come and do, but
Input question, how many communities, I mean, the days, and Donnie, you know this, the days where just 2-3 guys can do water, sewer, electric, how many communities are able to maintain in-house paid electric utility guy? Or is it just all subcontract, more and more just contracted?
More and more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just can't.
Some of the bigger cities and towns, of course, have their own.
Sure.
but,
Did Darlington go with info? Cause I know Bob Mullen was doing it, but did he quit?
I'm not sure. I think they are, but,
And I know Wayne
yeah.
went with info. It's the cost factor and the.
Like you said, the truck, you don't have a truck that can get up high enough, you don't have,
Yeah.
Or $1 million to buy a new truck.
well, a lot of towns are going with,
500,000 at least.
UMAC, you know, they do all their
Troy
water.
Ellis has the same
Really?
thing, carving
Yeah.
out, yep.
Yeah, they don't even have these guys to do it, they.
For that, people want local utilities until you see the price for it.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
like, because you're getting with the town guys, you're getting hundreds of $1,000s worth of contractor work.
Mhm.
But no, you get like this contract, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. You can't get the guys. you gotta-
Jay, Drew, you have anything to say?
Any input?
I'm more in favor of piecemeal on the contract at this time. I mean, not that my opinion's worth a lot, but I know, as Drew knows, they're at Nucor, preventative maintenance is great. You gotta do it. It saves money in the long run, but we don't need to, at this point, I don't think hand it to one person to say, okay, you can just do it all. I think we've saved money in the long run by piecemealing it out.
yeah, I think, with us having the money to do all the tree trimming and getting it under control, and then from then on, just kind of the maintenance and whatever,
Right.
pay out
Right.
the wazoo
You know.
for it.
Have somebody
And
come
then-
test the poles,
Next week,
get
find
a
out what that would
report, and it's like,
cost,
okay, we need to prioritize
And
this,
then-
we got
yeah.
these.
Have some kind of
see
schedule.
what kind of, costs are involved per
Right.
pole for them to replace it.
Right, cause I mean, you're gonna
For the
pay somebody to
maintenance.
test them.
So we make sure that it actually, we get it done,
Gary,
have a schedule, you know, for
Yeah.
the maintenance.
Gary talked to Dwayne and act like if their board approves this, they would be like quarterly. They would come around and,
Okay,
they do that for Wayne Town.
which that enterprise would do the same thing. I'm not sure,
Right.
but they would probably do the
well,
same
that's what they
thing.
were kind of saying, that
But-
they were
Yeah.
gonna do a schedule.
You know,
But
but
you're
you're
not
not,
under
you're
the
not
gun to
locked into
Mhm. Right.
pay 'em every month.
$130,000 a year. You might be locked into, okay. I don't know what the number would be for Burgersville.
Right.
Once the electric part starts.
Right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, that's what we
None of
can
it's
find out
gonna
next
get
week, I guess.
Well, electric has money right now. However,
Right now.
we haven't raised our rates since 2009.
Yeah.
So at some time, that's gonna come back to bite somebody. So, you know, that money that's been building is not gonna last very long since we haven't raised our rates. And I know everybody thinks our rates are high anyway, but, you know,
I
But
don't.
that's not our fault.
that's, yeah, I mean,
That's not our fault.
If you look at the news and, Duke raises theirs
Yeah.
17-18% every year, and ours went down this year.
mhm.
I've got RMC meters that are $50 plus whether I turn the lights on or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine's
Single
$38
phase.
just for the meter, and it's $3 here.
$3 and some change, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So we definitely know our rates are
Yeah.
low and
So until you decide to raise rates, then maybe it's not a good idea to get into a contract for 5 years,
that's true.
Yeah.
to, you know, spend that kind of money.
One good thing with, I guess, having a rate study would make your life easier, the tracking factor go away,
Well,
surcharge.
We had that rate study, like I said, I forget when that was.
9
but
years ago or something.
they said right then we need to raise it 40%. Well, golly, that's a lot. We're not gonna do
Could you
that.
imagine?
Oh my gosh,
No.
so
talk about rebellion.
you should,
Yeah.
it should be done in increments instead of all at once, but you know.
And Waytown's doing that. It's the same problem. It's been 15 years and
Yeah, maybe implement something where it's a couple percent a year.
And that's part of what the rate study
Yeah.
does, shows you the alternatives. Do you want one big hit or do you want to trickle it in?
Mhm.
Another generic law question, do we have an interconnection ordinance on,
I think we do.
I thought, I mean, I would have stolen it from somebody.
I think
'cause
we do.
I thought so, for safety and all, so you can't just hook up like random stuff to the grid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what I think it is,
I'm pretty sure we do.
Yeah, I think so.
yeah. We'll check, just,
That would probably be like he said, with even like Jason, when he put that solar panel on, it runs back and feeds and whatever it does.
Right.
That there has to be there has to be something that they had to sign for that.
Yeah, they do.
some kind of specs, and you can't
Yeah.
just clip a jumper cable
Yeah,
onto the
yeah,
power and
Yeah.
call it.
And I think when they turned on the solar park, they would have found out anything that we were good.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
All right, so I think we wait till next week, talk to Gary, ask him
Yeah.
what questions we have, right?
We will try to talk to him too about,
Okay.
you come to a meeting, would that be nice?
Yeah,
Just, and
that would be good.
once we talk to him, they come to the Saturday meeting and we'll just listen to your spiel and
Mhm.
Yeah.
they can go look at that, so.
And I don't think they're doing this as like a second job. I think they're, like he was saying, it's just they're trying to help their neighbors out type thing.
Right.
He said he knows how expensive stuff is, and he told me like the kind of pickle that Waynetown was in, so that's why they're trying to help them, and, so I don't think he's doing it to like have a side gig for Crawfordsville. It's just, he knows that guys, like, cause they asked me how many linemen you have, I'm like, there's none. I'm like, we go to training, OJT, and we pray a lot. And that's-
Oh my gosh.
And besides IMPA, also we belong to APPA, and both those places offers training that's free to us.
IMEA does too, so.
Yeah. See if
That's
he-
part of
make
how
it
we
to the-
found the mutual aid list was through one of those.
Yeah, okay. So you're gonna try to get him to come in here on the 14th?
Who, Gary?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I mean, we'll just wait to see what he says next week, and I don't think he's gonna give us like a hard number or something, like he said, it's just gonna fluctuate with what they're bringing in and what it is, and,
Cost plus basis.
yeah.
I know when he comes, I'm gonna take him to show him at least 3 or 4 poles that IMPA's already talked about, so. He can
Well, even
get-
if he could get us a
He-
price just on.
Well,
you know,
I'm saying,
what
if
doing.
he wants to look at them and say, well, okay, well, give us, at least what would this basically,
Right,
what price would you charge us to come in and replace these couple 3?
right.
and then compare, I mean, I don't.
Yeah. You're a little creepy over there, Ron.
Yeah.
Alright.
Take care of that squeak, Ron.
So Tricia, your motion was to table the whole
I think we
thing.
table it until Gary can come in and they can ask him more questions and he can maybe get some quotes on replacing, doing a job so we can kind of compare like how many poles that would be and then, you know. 'cause
And that includes
it's a big
Tabling
chunk of
the
change.
tree cut, the tree trimming quote
Right.
too, and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're one and they're all included.
Yeah.
So we need a second. She made a motion, table it.
I'll second it. Yeah, I mean, it's, take it down the road for,
You asleep?
No,
uh,
no, I'm letting you guys do your thing. So, we're talking about, I'm sold on IMPA, but you guys know my DNA, weight broke the bridge. That's not always a good thing. That's why I look to you guys as balance.
Right.
I think with Donnie saying, hey, I can do 30 hours, that's a plus. Also gives us a crutch to get IMPA in here and get used to, see how we're doing, or how they would do. And at the same time, they're here when Donnie rides off in the sunset,
They're always
wherever
gonna
that
be
may
here.
be.
Yes.
They're always gonna be here.
But what's the cost gonna be 3 years from now to buy into it?
we know
I mean, I-
everything goes up.
I mean, and we may never have to buy into it though.
So-
the
That's
thing,
right.
too.
Right now,
It's not a necessity right now, and if they get
Right.
to that point where they're pushing it, where you have, I mean,
right,
you know, if we still have Crawfordsville to help, I mean, I don't see why we need to jump into it right now.
you guys have faith in Crawfordsville?
I mean,
They've
I
helped us
barely
before.
remember them. They came a couple times when I worked here in high school or college, but it wasn't very often, but I mean,
Good experience with them?
It was.
Cause I haven't heard anything good, bad, and
They
different.
came when there was a storm
Mhm.
and the time I remember most, Troy and Roger were gone at the Nationals and I was here. The big tree fell and I tried to fix it and he told me I shouldn't even be in a bucket truck, so.
They come and help too.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in favor of tabling it to get some discussion with Jerry.
But they came
I'm in
right
favor of that.
down. They were right here that night because they didn't have any damage up there. They were here and they helped us.
Did you want to
And that's not
put
gonna bother
rate
any
study on the agenda?
relationship
Oh, no,
that you have
electric
with
rate
Temple one way or the
Yeah.
other. You've worked hard
It's
on
like
that.
$7,000 or so, but.
Alright.
I was asking Amy if you want to put electric rate study on the agenda for the future.
I think.
It's like $7,000 or something,
Yeah.
I
but
mean, it's like taking a blood test. You don't wanna go take the poke, but it has to be done.
are things
You
gonna be
can't
better
just say-
next year, or the year
Yeah.
after, or the year after, you know?
Mhm. So you want that on the agenda for the next?
I think so, don't you,
Yeah.
Trish?
At least get some quotes for,
No?
it's up, I mean, I don't wanna,
Well, I mean, we're gonna have to do something.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the rates haven't raised at all, like,
Since when did you say?
I mean, that's
2009.
great. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we start fixing everything to get it to the point where it needs to be, that's gonna diminish that fund
That's
and
right.
Mhm.
it's gonna take a really long time to build it back up with
That's right.
no rate increase. I mean, it doesn't have to be the 40%, you know,
Yeah.
50% in this year or something, you know, something people aren't gonna panic over.
Do you have to do a rate study to raise rates?
Yes.
Okay. Because I was
To
gonna
see
say, it's
what-
like, we'll
what-
just raise it a little bit.
Yeah, but, I mean, you don't know what it's gonna be. You know what
No,
I mean? It may be
But I-
40%.
yeah,
but,
I won't.
Like, how many years it's gonna take to build that?
and
back
one of the
up?
things, it's got the different, it'll have the different options, commercial, what's the base charge? What's, you know, do you wanna have a special rate for this or 3-phase and all that? So part of what you're getting is,
65 special.
yeah, all the different stuff.
Nah.
It takes an accounting
does that
firm
study?
with, that's all that they do, basically.
Chrome, there's a
There's some other
company in
companies.
Indianapolis that we use called Crone. They do the tracking factor, like for the surcharge and some other stuff for us. So they would be the one to do it.
But we pay them how much an average each month for the tracker.
We pay them quarterly, $700 and some dollars
Hmm.
for the tracking factor.
It's not hateful, is it?
No.
well, eventually it's gonna have to be caught up because if IMPA's, I mean, just say we go with IMPA, if their price keeps going up every year and we're not raising the price, we're never gonna,
We never got,
That's
that's
right.
good too, Bubba.
And that's just gonna make the surcharge
Mm-hmm.
go up more because there's too much gap between what we pay and what we
Yeah,
charge.
there's never gonna be a happy medium soon there.
You said that used to be small town electric company was the generator of the money to, pay the light bill. Now, electric companies aren't generating what they used to because of the cost, the overhead.
EPA.
Yeah, people think, oh, power pole is only, $50 for a pole, yeah,
Run into one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or, and it's got a transformer on it, you might wanna know.
So we're gonna vote on that motion?
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Tricia, you in? Aye.
I said, I'll
Okay. I went to that.
make the motion.
I thought you did.
Motion passed.
She did. She made the motion.
Keep up.
We're on the same page.
Keep up, Grandpa.
Good gravy.
We just have to hope for not 100-year storm to come through and wipe everything out.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have like, what, 6 poles down there, 6 or 7? We still have 6 or 7 poles, which isn't 6 or 7. That could be a street there, half a block.
Yeah.
So, that'd be terrible. But, and we have some transformers, we have stuff that can be used. It's just, we haven't,
Have somebody come do it.
yeah, certain areas that we need linemen
Yeah.
to do this stuff.
Indeed, okay. Maybe we get some numbers.
This isn't something new either, because as far as, like he's saying, when I worked here years ago, we still called someone. I mean, it was either
Yeah.
IMPA or Burns, so this isn't something that's just new, like, hey, we need a lineman now. It's been this way. We've just, now they're offering a contract.
yeah, now we've got an option from IMPA.
Yeah, like I said, when Burns was 2.5 hours away or 2 hours away, and now that they had the IMPA Service Corp was here at Advance, and we're an IMPA community, let's use them more. That was a thought process of that. I never really looked into thinking, well, Cartersville's got all of the city of Cartersville to mess with. Would they even be thinking about this? And but Dwayne called them and it's like,
I mean, it was 10
we'll
minutes. The
look at
guy's
it.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
we had a feeling because they had seen talk online also. So,
Facebook.
Yeah, something.
That's so
Things are changing.
Yeah, the $300,000 contract. We're supposedly signing.
Oh, yeah, I saw that on.
Alrighty.
All right. Anything else to bring up?
if one of you guys want, when that guy comes, he's gonna bring himself an alignment, and I think Donnie and I are gonna go and get a hold of you guys if you wanted to kind of go around and see what they're gonna point out and whatnot.
That would be good to. Be good to know.
Sounds good.
We're still having our Saturday meeting.
Yes.
And now, make sure everybody's looking, so we still have our Saturday meeting, 9 o'clock.
Yep,
Okay.
14th, the 14th.
That-
I said that, then I'm like, wait, is it the
That's
14th?
almost already in the middle of the month.
Yeah.
No. Days are long, but the time is short.
That is true. All right. Motion to adjourn?
Make motion.
I second.
It's been made and seconded to adjourn.
Somebody pull on that.
The thing is still. You turn that off, Wayne?
That should be around.
Okay.
Dwayne's got mine.
David, thank you.
I will not be here for the Saturday meeting, but
Should
contentious.
There's something